currently on your page right now. Okay. Good. Okay. Cool. All right. Shalom.
Shalom.
First and foremost, we want to give all praise, all honor, and all glory to Yahweh,
Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakodash.
We also want to give double honors to our apostles and our elders of Great Millstone. Peace, blessing, and many salutations unto you elect across the four winds of this earth, fulfilling your lots in all truth and all sincerity. We're the Great Millstone Dallas branch coming to you all with another lesson in the form of a class. Hopefully you all are edified just as much as we will be edified with the various points and things that brother's going to bring out to add to this. But as you see the title, this is called The Gathering. And this is a lesson that I've been pondering on for probably about a month now. We're just waiting on the right time to do it. But we're going to talk about the heavenly gathering, because down here, as we're currently prophesying, preaching the word, fulfilling whatever lot the Lord gave you, this is a gathering that's taking place right now. All right. Whether a lot of people like it or not, this is the gathering that was actually prophesied to happen, which is a sign to the world that we are at the very end. Matter of fact, Baba Gashar, can somebody hold Isaiah 44? And we can start from the top, because that gathering is going to be from right now when we translate all the way up to a physical gathering in the heavens where we're going to meet our Lord Yahweh Shai in the air. Lord willing, we're that number. Okay. Anybody got that Isaiah 44?
Isaiah 44:1. It reads, "Yet now hear, O Jacob, my servant, and Israel, whom I have chosen. Thus saith the Lord that made thee and formed thee from the womb, which will help thee. Fear not, O Jacob, my servant, and thou Jeshurun, whom I have chosen. For I will pour water upon him that is thirsty, and floods upon the dry ground."
Right. Water upon him that is thirsty, and floods upon the dry ground. Going into how we would be watered by this word. It really is going into the Holy Spirit. All right. The word being coming out. Even Yahweh Shai said it in John 7. He said, "You believing on me, even as the scripture have said, out of thy belly shall flow rivers of living water." So we're coming into the point of prophecy where this doctrine is being brought out. The Israelites are waking up, and there's this mass gathering that's happening right now in these last days. And this is a prophecy that was spoken of. What we're doing right now is fulfilling this prophecy. You got it.
Continuing on, it says, "I will pour my spirit upon thy seed, and my blessing upon thine offspring, and they shall spring up as among the grass, as willows by the watercourses."
There you go. They shall spring up. And notice it said, "I will pour my spirit upon this seed," which is a cut to those so-called Christians that say it's all spiritual. It has nothing to do with the flesh. You're a spiritual Israelite. No, he said, "I will pour my spirit upon this particular seed," which is showing that this prophecy is being exercised right now by the Israelites.
That's right.
Those that are on the highways and byways and the garments, calling themselves Israelites, flooding the streets. This is being exercised right now at this moment because the gathering's happening. You got it.
Continuing on, verse 4, "And they shall spring up as among the grass, as willows by the watercourses. One shall say, I am the Lord's, and another shall call himself by the name of Jacob."
And that ain't happening no other place but with this movement that's taking place right now. A so-called Christian ain't start calling himself a spiritual Israelite ever since we came on the scene.
That's right.
So this is being fulfilled through us, through the spirit of Yahweh Shai. Without that spirit, none of this would take place. You got it.
"And another shall subscribe with his hand unto the Lord, and surname himself by the name of Israel."
There you go. All right. So this is the start of this gathering taking place. That's pretty much the point on that one. This is the start of this gathering taking place. All right. Now, anybody had that Exodus 5? Because when you go into this account here, us being the Israelites, we're enslaved by the Egyptians. And by this time, you've had Moses and Aaron go and visit Pharaoh and tell him the requirements that needed to be made in order for us to be let free, and what took place with that. So as we were in captivity under the hand of the Egyptians, Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh and said, "Look, this is what the Lord requires right here." All right. You got it, bro. Baba Kishore. Yeah, because the point is I believe the point's in verse 1.
Exodus chapter 5, verse 1. "And afterward Moses and Aaron went in and told Pharaoh, Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, Let my people go, that they may hold a feast unto me in the wilderness."
Right, that they may hold a feast into the wilderness. And obviously, as we know the story, we eventually were let go after those plagues hit the land of Egypt. And when we went into the wilderness, we kept feasts unto the Lord. All right. And one feast that comes to mind is when the covenant was established unto us. The theatrics that was tied to it, the way the glory of the Lord was revealed, you know, because you got guys that are out here saying we're currently under the new covenant. Well, no, when that's established, his face is going to be made evidently known. Things going to happen on the earth. That's a very big deal. Just as it was a big deal what we're going to go into right here. Like when the covenant was given unto us, it just didn't happen. It was a whole ceremony that took place. So why would it not be when the second covenant's established? You know, now obviously we're being ushered into it. We're doing the works. All right. We know that we received the blood of the new covenant, but that don't mean we're currently in the new covenant just yet. All right. It's going to be sealed in the heavens when Yahweh Shai comes down to visit. Okay. So, you know, was that it on that verse? Did you read through the whole verse yet? Okay. We can hold off on that and we can jump to that Exodus 24. We're going to read through the whole chapter, but we're going to be prompt with it.
I got it.
Come.
This is Exodus chapter 24, verse 1. It says, "And he said unto Moses, Come up unto the Lord Yahweh, thou and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel, and worship ye afar off. And Moses alone shall come near the Lord Yahweh, but they shall not come nigh, neither shall the people go up with him. And Moses came and told the people all the words of Yahweh, and all the judgments, and all the people answered with one voice, and said, All the words with which Yahweh hath said, will we do."
Boom. So right there, Moses explained to the children of Israel what needed to be done, the requirements the Lord gave. And they agreed to it right here. All right. And this is before Moses went up actually into the mountain. Okay. But this is what took place before that happened. Go ahead.
It says, verse, I had a question, by the way, if you'll mind. So, because he went up more than once, right?
Well, to my knowledge, you know what? Hey, I don't think so. I think he just went up that one time, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Okay, because I know he broke the, 10 Commandments. That was in chapter 20, and then I thought he went back the second time. I got to go back and see.
Yeah, shoot, me too.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
All right, this is continuing on in Exodus chapter 24. In verse 4 again, it says, "And Moses wrote all the words of the Lord Yahweh, and rose up early in the morning, and builded an altar under the hill, and 12 pillars, according to the 12 tribes of Israel."
There you go. So this is one of those feasts that we're talking about that we read earlier in Exodus 3. Where the Lord commanded Moses and Aaron to go in the Pharaoh and say, "Let my people go so my people perform a feast unto me." This is a big deal right here. All right. So this is what was done right before Moses went up to Mount Sinai. You got it.
Now, verse 5, it says, "And he sent young men of the children of Israel, which offered burnt offerings and sacrificed peace offerings of oxen unto the Lord Yahweh."
There you go. So they offered up an offering unto the Lord. And best believe they didn't just offer up the offering for it to sit there and just rot away. No, it was being eaten. The priests would eat it. Their families would eat it. It was being offering. It was an offering that was being offered unto the Lord. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 6, it says, "And Moses took half of the blood and put it in basins, and half of the blood he sprinkled it on the altar. And he took the book of the covenant and read in the audience of the people, and they said, All that the Lord Yahweh hath said will we do, and be obedient."
So this is going into where the covenant was established. All right. The words of the covenant was written by Moses. This is before he went up to Mount Sinai and actually got the law. All right. These were handwritten. There was already a book of this covenant that was there that Moses read unto the children of Israel. Okay. Right before he went up to Mount Sinai. So this is the account here where the first covenant was being given unto the children of Israel, where they said, "Thus what was written here, we shall execute and we shall do." And really through the Spirit, it's really happening right now. Obviously, we're Israelites, but the drink of this cup, takes a lot. We've agreed to it, Now, that doesn't mean that we're exactly under the second covenant, but this is something that we're doing. That way, when the time of the second covenant does come, we'll be there, Lord willing. All right. But again, this is what had to be done in order for the first covenant to be established, what the brother's reading right now.
Okay. I'll read verse 8. It's Exodus 24 and 8. It says, "And Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people, and said, Behold, the blood of the covenant which Yahweh hath made with you concerning all these words."
There you go, the blood of the covenant. Go ahead.
Verse 9, Then went up Moses and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and the 70 of the elders of Israel, and they saw that the power of Israel, and they saw the power, the Most High of Israel, and there was under his feet, as it were, a paved work of a sapphire stone.
You see that? So when you actually picture this in your mind, you go, when this covenant was established, when all this took place, the glory of the Lord descended, and that was present. And when the glory of the Lord descended like that, you can go into the accounts where it was terror. It's going to go into the fire that happened, and and we're going to hold Second Ezra 3 as well, because it talks about that too. But when the glory of the Lord was revealed, it wasn't no light thing, and this is when the first covenant's established. Just imagine when the second covenant truly comes into fruition. And we already know, we prophesy about it. This is the coming of the Lord,
Hey, man, I make a point about that because I like when it describes the chariots, it talks about like the mouth of the Most High, and the arm of the Most High, and the feet of the Most High. Talking about basically the different parts of the chariot, that he was in.
That's right.
Like how we have the sign, the big sign with the big old chariot in it. And it says chariots of the Most High. It's like a clip from Independence Day or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like a big chariot. If you read it like that, you can visualize.
That's right.
Visualize it better.
Beautiful.
Continuing on, Exodus 24 and verse 10, it says, and they saw the power, the Most High of Israel, and there was under his feet, as it were, a paved work of a sapphire stone, and as it were, the body of heaven in his clearness.
So they're looking at heavenly power right here, man. And it wasn't no light thing again. You got scriptures that goes into. Matter of fact, Deuteronomy 33, Baba Kishon. You have multiple occurrences that this is talked about. This is a mighty work that was done.
I'm gonna start from the top.
Mm-hmm.
This is Deuteronomy chapter 33, verse 1.
Yeah, the point's pretty much in verses 1 and 2.
And this is the blessing wherewith Moses, the man of the Most High, blessed the children of Israel before his death. And he said, the Lord Yahweh came from Sinai and rose up from Seir.
Right, he came from Sinai. So the point is going into the Sinai portion, what I now just read in Exodus 24. And you could really read it in Exodus 24 and read all the way to the end of that book. That's when Moses went up there. That's when the Lord gave Moses the visions of what was going to happen. He gave him, the books, Genesis, and so forth. He gave him all that understanding. And then when you go to the end of that chapter, that's when he was descending that mountain where Jake was, partying and bullshitting, with the golden calves and such. So this all happened on Sinai. Okay, you got it.
It says, verse 2, and he said, the Lord Yahweh came from Sinai and rose up from Seir unto them. He shined forth from Mount Paran, and he came with 10,000s of saints.
Boom, there you go. So when his presence was felt in Sinai, he came with those 10,000s of saints. All right, and we're going to get back to that in Exodus 24 here in a second. But it goes into how theatric that it was. You got it.
From his right hand with a fiery law for them.
There you go, Yahweh Shai. And Yahweh Shai was an angel that brought forth us the law, that gave us that law. Go ahead.
Okay. Deuteronomy chapter 33 and verse 3. Yea, he loved the people. All his saints are in thy hand.
There you go. And that's pretty much the point, the water for that. And we can jump back to that in Exodus 24.
Okay, fine. This is back in Exodus 24 and verse 11. It says, and upon the nobles of the children of Israel, he laid not his hand. Also, they saw the Most High and did not eat and drink. And did eat and drink. I'll read that one time.
Mm-hmm.
It's Exodus chapter 24 and 11. It says, and upon the nobles of the children of Israel had laid not his hand. Also, they saw the Most High and did eat and drink. Verse 12, and the Lord Yahweh said unto Moses, come up to me in the mount and be there, and I will give thee tables of stone and the law and commandments which I have written, that thou mayest teach them. Verse 13. And Moses rose up, and his minister Joshua, and Moses went up into the mount of the Most High. Verse 14. And he said unto the elders, tarry ye here for us until we come again unto you. And behold, Aaron and Hur are with you. If any man have any matters to do, let him come unto them. And Moses went up into the mount, and a cloud covered the mount. And the glory of Yahweh Shai abode upon Mount Sinai, and the cloud covered it 6 days. And the seventh day he called unto Moses out of the midst of the cloud.
There you go. And what verse was that? Because I know it's 18 verses total.
That was 16 I just read.
Okay, we can read through the verse 18, and we're going to summarize everything to give you all a visual now. That's why I wanted to read through like that.
Mm-hmm. Verse 17 says, and the sight of the glory of the Lord was like devouring fire on the top of the mount.
A devouring fire, terrible, dreadful, frightening to see. But at the same time, this is our power. When he makes his presence known, he makes his presence known. And again, we're going to talk about the covenants here. Again, various topics, the chariots, the covenants. But again, you got guys that say we're already under the second covenant. But no, when that second covenant fully is established, it's going to be theatric like this. Caught up in the air, destruction with Babylon fire, the chariots of 10,000s. It's going to be reminiscent to what we're reading right now. If somebody can hold Habakkuk, the 3rd chapter, Baba Kishar, you can continue on that one.
Exodus 24 and 17. In the sight of the glory of Yahweh Shai was like devouring fire on the top of the mount in the eyes of the children of Israel. And Moses went into the midst of the cloud and gat him up into the mount. And Moses was in the mount 40 days and 40 nights.
There you go. And again, you can read from Exodus 25 whenever you have your own time. Read all the way to, I believe it ends in chapter 32, right? Going into what happened when he came up there and what happened when he came back down. But when you read this, goes into the covenant being established, the altar being made, the agreement that happened, the blood that was required, and afterward they drank and they ate. They held that feast that we read about in Exodus, the 5th chapter. That was all done until Moses ascended upon Mount Sinai. The glory of the Lord was revealed, and boom, the tables of stone was etched. Okay? And I said just a second ago that occurrence right there is going to be very reminiscent to what's going to happen when Yahweh Shai comes down. Okay? Anybody got that Habakkuk, the 3rd chapter? Okay, Khan, go ahead, Yawan. Baba Kishar, you can actually read 2nd Ezra 3 and 19 here in a minute.
You want me to start from the top or jump to 3?
Yeah, you can start from the top, actually.
Okay, chapter Habakkuk 3.
This is our message. Just as Habakkuk left this message, this is our message exactly how it is to the T. And when you read this, it goes into the glory of the Lord and the terror. You can't teach one without the other. You got it.
Habakkuk 3, verse 1. It reads, a prayer of Habakkuk, the prophet, upon Shigionoth.
Right, and Shigionoth, that's going into a song. When you read the Psalms, you read the introduction to them, it'll say a Psalm of David, a Psalm of Asaph upon Shigionoth or whatever. That shows you that this is a prayer and also a song that was sung unto the Lord.
O Lord, I have heard thy speech and was afraid. O Lord, revive thy work in the midst of the years.
And we know about those works, and we're trying to remind the world, starting with Israel, about those works. The Spirit, how he came down. We're reading about a great work that was done in Exodus 24 when the covenant was established. We're telling the world, of course, obviously starting with the Israelites, because we're telling them to repent. That's our job. But regardless whether they hear or whether they forbear, they're hearing about this work. And eventually it's going to be revived. And it's already starting now, but it's going to intensify, right, just as we know about, just as we prophesy about. Because he said, I heard thy speech and was afraid. The reason why you're afraid is you're remembering those works of old. Flooding the earth, Sodom and Gomorrah, his terror, that account that happened on Mount Sinai. Hey, what did the Apostle Paul say? Through the terror of the Lord do we persuade many. So when his gospel's preached, it ain't going to come with peaches and cream and roses and lollipops, as we obviously know. But for you all that are new or that are listening, there's some intensity when it comes to the preaching of the gospel. When we teach the kingdom of heaven at hand, there has to be the destruction of E and the wicked within the same breath. There can't be one without the other.
Balance.
That's balance. That's right.
In the midst of the years, make known. In wrath, remember mercy.
In wrath, remember mercy. So we know the Lord's merciful, but it's going to be so much wrath and dread and terror on the earth. This prayer is like, look, in all this wrath, please remember your mercy that you promised to keep. Because from a carnal perspective, looking at what's about to happen, yo, these people that are outside of the loop going to be terrified, man. So we going to be scared.
We were talking about that at camp last night, how it went from with the flood.
Mm-hmm.
It went from never rain falling out of the sky to rain didn't stop falling out of the sky, so everybody was dead.
That's right. That's right.
Just like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So how much more now?
Heavy.
You know? And that's what I'm saying. And the Lord did that for the sake of the elect.
That's right.
So it was his will to do that, but we the reason.
Yeah.
We the reason. The apple of the Lord's eye was touched, and this is his response.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Whooping
So
everybody.
it's gonna be an awesome thing the way the Lord gonna destroy and break all this thing up for us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
More when we don't experience.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Man, there's a precept that came to mind really quick for you, going into how we the reason through the Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
This is Proverbs chapter 21, verse 18. And it says, the wicked shall be a ransom for the righteous, and the transgressor for the upright. So you got all them souls that died going into the account with the flood. It makes mention in what? Sirach 44 that Noah was an exchange for the world.
Right.
You know, so his spirit, or I'd rather say those wicked spirits were necessary to die off. That way those 8 souls could be saved.
Right.
You know, very similar concept with what's getting ready to take place here. It's going to be a lot of death. And in the midst of a lot of that death, you're going to have that remnant of Israel that's going to be delivered through the fire. You know?
Verse 3. It says, God came from Teman, and the Holy One from Mount Paran, Salah. His glory covered the heavens, and the earth was full of his praise.
There you go, those 10,000s of saints. His glory covered the heavens. Okay, and it's using different accounts. In Sinai, what we just read about, in Paran, and then Paran, that's where the spirit that was in Moses was divided to those 70 men. It was given the Holy Spirit. His presence was there. When we traveled in the wilderness, you know, the chariots was there, the glory was there. You know, you got it, because it's gonna go into some heavy stuff.
Mm-hmm. Verse 4. It says, and his brightness was as the light. He had horns coming out of his hand, and there was a hiding of his power.
He had horns coming out of his hand. Yasad, can you explain that? What you believe that means?
Continuing on, verse 4 again, it says, and his brightness was as the light. He had horns coming out of his hand, and there was hiding of his power.
You got the chariots.
That's right.
That's
That's
the
the
rays of light
chariots.
from the chariots.
That's the rays of light from the chariots. That's right. When you go into the word horns, I forgot the name of it in the Hebrew. Shalom, brother.
It's Quran, I believe.
It's Quran, the water. It sure is Quran. When you go into that, it literally says rays of lights, which are laser beams. You know, so when you read this here, it's going into the works of old. The prophet Habakkuk is asking the Lord for us to remember the works and remember his work. And then it's going into the accounts where his glory filled the heavens. The laser beams came out, the rays of lights. But when you read this, it's going to segue into what's going to happen at the end. You know, when you read this chapter, this is judgment going into what's going to happen at the end. But he's reminding the listener of the works of old and how it's going to be reminiscent to that when you read this chapter.
When you look at old archaeology, they show you the chariots shooting light, shooting laser beams. Now, the other nations were afraid of the children of Israel and the sons of God before that, because the chariots was always there kicking ass. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Like he talks about in the book of Psalms, how he would come out in the cloud before them in the wilderness, and how the mountains would shake. You know?
That's
The mountains would quake when the chariots would enter the atmosphere. You know what I mean?
That's right.
He says the mountains would melt.
Imagine being on the battlefield and you going to fight these people and you see that.
Yeah, so you see the mountains crumbling,
Bro,
and the chariot
Bro.
coming down.
I got chills right
It
now.
would just break up your whole.
you don't want
your
to fight
army
no more.
would
You're
just
like,
That's
I'm
right.
not fighting these niggas.
Yeah,
You know?
good. And just as he's putting emphasis on this vision right here, like, you know, when the chariots broke the atmosphere, it was very like something to marvel at. You know, in Mount Sinai, what we just read in Exodus 24, that happened. Moses ascended into this mountain that was burning on the top. And, you know, he was unscathed, bro. Like, yo, it was like that. Go ahead.
So you know when the elites have those accounts and you know why it's such a priority for them to separate us from our power.
Absolutely.
Because really they know the only way we actually could beat these people is if they going off.
Yeah, just like that whole Superman concept. Sin is our kryptonite.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? When you get it, he can't do nothing when the kryptonite hit him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So he just got to make sure he ain't around no kryptonite.
Right.
You know?
That's right.
So it is what it is. I was saying, you know good and damn well if you don't want Superman running, you better find some kryptonite somewhere.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I'm saying? Otherwise,
you know your ass.
And eventually, Salaki.
Oh, no, that's
my fault. Gone. You got it? Okay, yeah, we can pull that out real quick. Yeah, well, I was gonna say, just alluding to the kryptonite thing, and we're going into the covenant. Well, it's dope because they use sin as our kryptonite, but you know their demise is so inevitable. He's gonna put his laws in our body during the second, covenant. But we can't sin; ain't no kryptonite, So, hey, man, they in for a shit show, and that's why they're trying to, like y'all said, trying to separate us from the Lord. They're disclosing the chariot files, and there's coming out as much as they try to disclose it. They're still coming out. We got video footage of them saying there's nothing we can do about these chariots. Like literally their demise is so inevitable and it's so close.
It's a trip out. It's a trip out. The MOTV is coming together.
Yeah,
the chariots is getting closer to the earth. The words being pushed further out. All these different things that's happening under the vibration of the word.
That's right. I've heard thy speech and was afraid. Yeah, this is all tied to the speech of the Lord, man. Shit happens. Excuse my French, but shit happens when the Lord starts to speak. You guys are going unless anybody had any points.
Charles got a precept when y'all done.
Okay.
This is that word horn that the brother was reading there in Habakkuk, the 3rd chapter. Just like brother I said, the word is Strong's H7161. Quaran, right? Horn of strength, flash horn of rays of light. Okay?
Yeah.
Of rays of light.
That shows you fire is the Lord's strength. He used that fire, man. A lot of these so-called Christians like to equate the devil with fire. No, they got it misunderstood.
Now, you get the root word, it's the same word Quran says, to send out rays, to shine.
Yeah, that's right. To shine, those rays of light. And hey, the world, especially Babylon, they gonna definitely experience that fire from the heaven. They gonna be fully engulfed within that glory.
Wow. It
Like
says,
found something.
in the lexicon, when you go down to push with the horn, it says as a verb to radiate, to emit beam, to shine. Right?
Yeah, the
As
real
in like
omega
the face
rays.
of Moses.
That's right. Yeah. The real omega rays right there. This is all gonna happen. Mm-hmm. Yeah, these are the theatrics that's tied to the presence of our power. And it's beautiful that we've been converted. We're really wanting to learn about this right now before it gets ridiculously epic. It's the reason why there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth, as is written. Yeah, it's gonna get bad out here, a lot of starvation, but when the Lord's presence hits this earth, every knee shall bow, as is written.
No weapon formed against thee.
That's right.
With all the way the technology that this devil got and how proud he is behind it.
Y'all gotta check this brisket.
The Lord got some way just gonna top that. It's gonna top that easy. It's that 2nd Ezra 13. 2nd Ezra 13 going to that exchange. You know what I'm saying? When the Lord comes back and says he gonna have to make them fight.
Yeah, it says that once they see the chariots gonna be destroying, they're gonna be afraid, yet durst fight. But they still gonna be like the little pea shooters. Losing.
And also it talks about the effortlessness that the Lord is going to need to destroy all the nations. It said, because it says neither lifted he up sword, hand or sword. If somebody could just get it real quick, it illustrates how effortless it was for the Lord to destroy all the nations.
Is that 2nd Ezra 13?
Yeah.
Let's hold that real quick.
Okay.
We're gonna hold that to the end. Baba Kishar, I ain't mean to
No, you good. No, it'll come back up. It'll come back up. Tons do got a precept. Okay.
Okay.
About the chariots and the rays of light.
For sure.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5, verse 20. His severe wrath shall be sharpened for a sword, and the world shall fight with him against the unwise. Then shall the right aiming thunderbolts go abroad, and from the clouds, so from a well-drawn bow, shall they fly to the mark. And hailstones full of wrath shall be cast out of the stone bow, and the water of the sea shall rage against them, and the flood shall cruelly drown them.
Man, you see, what was that you just read there?
This is Psalm 5.
It's heavy. Very reminiscent to Habakkuk, the 3rd chapter. You know, but if you was gonna break that down, Zaquan, you know, for sure.
That right aiming, man. So they got the abilities, like we're gonna read here. Habakkuk, they measure you. You know, when it's tracking you like a missile, it's tracking you. That's how these laser beams from the chariots are going to be.
Yeah.
Just destroying.
That's right. That Todd's got a precept too?
Yeah, it's right here. He put up 2 Ezra 3:17.
Oh yeah, well that's the spirit because we was gonna pull that up.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what Shaquat, you still holding that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's the spirit. You know, we was gonna get that next, but before that, let's jump back to Habakkuk 3.
I got it. Habakkuk 3, and we're at I'm gonna read verse 4 again. All right, Habakkuk 3 and 4. And his brightness was as the light. He had horns coming out of his hand, and there was a hiding of his power.
Right, and when you really go into that, it said there was a hiding of his power, but that's really going into how it's revealed. You know, it was no way to hide it. You know, I forgot what it says in the New Living Translation, but it's going into his power being revealed, his glory being made manifest. You know, because there's no way that once you continue to read this, it's obviously not no hidden power that's being revealed. You know, goes into the waters, rocking to and fro and such. Go ahead.
Before him went the pestilence, and burning coals went forth at his feet. He stood and measured the earth, and he beheld and drove asunder the nations.
There you go. Boom. All right. This is what the chariots finna do. You know, it went into his feet, being at the bottom of the mountain, you know, going into how it burned Mount Sinai up. You know, this is going into the fervency of the chariots. Go ahead.
That's right. Continuing on. Verse 5. Before him went the pestilence, and burning coals went forth at his feet. He stood and measured the earth. He beheld and drove asunder the nations, and everlasting mountains were scattered. The perpetual hills did bow.
That's right. The perpetual hills did bow. And when you go into this, say the elder just said it a little bit ago, when Yahushua comes with those angels in full effect, stuff's gonna shake out of place. Mountains are gonna crumble, and also mountains represent governments and such too. So the modern day kings, the present kings on the earth, the scriptures goes into how they're gonna be asking the hills to fall on them and save us from the wrath of the Lamb. So even these different kings and such are gonna be hiding from this glory. What is it? We don't gotta get it. Amos 9 goes into that. How they're gonna hide into the grave and hide under the water. The serpent's gonna bite them even there. No escaping that judgment. You said it earlier. Already got it out measured. There ain't no escaping it. Go ahead.
His ways are everlasting. I saw the tents of Cushan in affliction, and the curtains of the land of Midian did tremble.
Yeah, the heathen are gonna tremble. That's what that's talking about. Jeremiah 10 says, "Be not dismayed at the signs in the heavens, for the heathen are dismayed at them." It's a crucial sign in the heavens, and they're going to be crucially dismayed when this happens. If the elect are going to be scarcely saved, you can imagine how the heathen are going to feel when this happens. Go ahead.
Verse 8. Was the Lord displeased against the rivers? Was thine anger against the rivers?
And this all ties into the translation of power too. When that second covenant's established, when we receive those new bodies, that's like the top transition of power. When something new is. So you got these people that's like, oh, we already in it. No, when the transition of power happens, when Esau is brought down, when salvation comes, it's going to be known to the world, bro. Yeah. These are the rulers. These are the kings under Yahushua. It's going to be known. The Lord ain't going to transition power in no light way. Even when he established the first covenant, it was theatric. Imagine when we get ruled under Yahushua. Right. Come on, bro. Enoch talked about this way back before the flood. You got it.
Was thy wrath against the sea, that thou didst ride upon the horses and thy chariots of salvation? Thy bow was made quite naked, according to the oaths of the tribes.
Because this is a fulfillment that had to take place. There was an oath that was made, a promise had been given. Going all the way back to the covenant that was given unto Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The covenant that was given unto the children of Israel the first go around. The covenants that we're waiting for right now, the second covenant. All tied to the oath that was given, man. This all has to take place in order for that oath to be fulfilled. And it made mention of waters being moved out of place. I always think about that movie Independence Day, the second one, when a big old chariot came and literally you had metal and debris and, cars and water, getting sucked up in the air because it had its own gravitational pull.
Mm-hmm.
And the earth shakes, so water's going to get moved out of place. This is the terror the Lord is going to bring when his sons are being crowned under Yahweh Shai, when he visits the earth,
You got to think about that. That's just a movie.
Right.
The movie was able to give you a visual, but the Lord tell you ain't seen what he gonna bring.
Yeah.
Right.
So as extreme as it was with the graphics and all that other stuff, it's gonna be more
That's right.
than that.
More public.
Yeah.
You know how like back in the 50s they had the special effects. You can see they got like a cardboard cutout on a string. And
Yeah.
those movies that we looking at gonna seem like that
Right.
Yeah.
compared to what we actually gonna see, man. It's gonna be like, oh,
It's gonna be completely comparable. We've never visualized the end of the world. We only got Sarah Connor burning on the fence and
yeah.
all of that to look at, which is suffice for us right now. But
It's always
They do
it's
it,
always a hero to prevent it.
That's right.
You know
That's
what I'm
right.
saying? Whether it's your Avenger or your Justice League or that random one white dude that done killed everybody with a 9mm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You got it just done killed up everybody by itself to keep the world from burning up. Now that Jack Bauer ain't coming, John Wick ain't either. Whoever you can get Will to play, cut it out.
Yeah. Nah. That's right. That's right.
One
And
nigga that save the world, nah, man.
Yeah.
that's
Nah.
right.
And them coming back to stop that on some listen.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I'm saying? No. The hero is Yahweh Shai. He coming to destroy this thing and get it back right.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, what we're reading about is tied to his heroism. How he's going to destroy parts of the earth is his heroism being exercised.
You know?
Yeah, somebody had a precept?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is Isaiah chapter 19, verse 1, and it reads, "The burden of Egypt. Behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt. And the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it." It's talking about our Lord, Yahweh Shai. It says that he rideth upon a swift cloud. We know that the clouds are the chariots of the Heavenly Father's only begotten Son. So the Lord going to invade this place and move these idols, this current setup. He going to topple it. He said many crowns is what he going to take in Revelation chapter 11. He ain't going to ask for it, man. The Lord going to pull up and take it,
You even got the reports where they saying the technology on these UAPs is thousands of years
That's right.
ahead of the technology that they got.
That's right.
So having said that, like you can tell the scriptures make more sense because it's coming out now.
That's
I
right.
said, man, we seen some stuff that we don't know what the hell we gonna do if it comes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you got a space force that's getting ready for what? Right?
Yeah.
if the gravitational pull of the Lord just get hit in the atmosphere,
Exactly, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
what you gonna
What
shoot
you
at?
gonna do?
Yeah.
Yeah, your arms too short to box with God.
Yeah.
Your arms are too short, indeed.
So so that's why the prophets are so fervent in going out. You know what I'm saying? The Lord, I'm saying Noah saw what the Lord had planned.
That's right.
Through the scriptures, we see what the Lord got planned, and we like, you know what? Nah.
Yeah.
You know when you going down, devil, you just run your choppers up. You damn right it is.
That's right. That's right. And I quote it again. Hey, through the terror of the Lord, we persuade men. That's what gets you to go out there and do what you got to do when you start hearing about this work the Lord finna bring. I've heard the speech of the Lord and was afraid.
Yeah. Who gonna deliver me in those days?
Who's going to deliver me in those days? And Habakkuk says the same thing toward the end. We're not going to read the whole chapter, but when you read this, when you get toward the end of it, he's pretty much like all the fig trees going to be moved out of place. And I don't know what the hell I'm going to do, but I'm going to just praise the Lord. It's pretty much of that essence when you read the rest of that chapter, But yeah, go ahead.
Continuing verse 9 again from the top. It says, "Thy bow was made quite naked according to the oaths of thy tribes, even thy word, Salah. Thou didst cleave the earth with rivers. The mountains saw thee, and they trembled. The overflowing of the water passed by. The deep uttered his voice and lifted up his hands on high. The sun and moon stood still in their habitation. At the light of thine arrows they went."
There you go. And that's pretty much the point. Hey, when you read the whole chapter, it's going into destruction. And when you read the beginning phases of that, he's using examples about when the Lord visited the earth, like he visited when Moses was on Sinai, and when, the account with Paran and so forth. is going to be reminiscent to those works of old. And we're being reminded of that every time we read the scriptures. The world is being reminded of that every time we're on the highways and the hedges and preaching this gospel. You know, when Yahweh Shai said, I said it earlier, when Yahweh Shai said, preach the kingdom of heaven is at hand, we have to preach everything that's tied to that. All right. The day of evil and the acceptable year, as is written. You know, so this whole account that we're reading about is tied to the gospel being preached, the second covenant being established, us being changed, the destruction of the sinful man has to be brought up, and how he's going to go. You know, hey, John the Baptist said it. You know, he who come after me, whose shoes I am not worthy to bear, shall baptize you with fire and the Holy Spirit. So this all comes with that, man. You know, we can bring at that 2nd Ezra 3, starting at verse 17.
All right. 2nd Ezra 3 and 17.
This is Ezra giving his account of Exodus 24, when Moses was on Mount Sinai. You got it.
All right, it reads, and it came to pass that when thou leadest his seed out of Egypt, thou broughtest them up to Mount Sinai, and bowing the heavens, thou didst set fast the earth, movest the whole world, and modest.
See that right there? Moved the whole world. The earth shook. You know, it wasn't just the glory. Obviously, the glory descended, but the earth. When you read this, the earth reacted. You know, like literally, reality was altered when this took place. When you look at it, that's power right there. When the normal reality that you used to moved out of place and bowed down unto the Lord, you know, matter within itself reacted when the Lord came.
Right.
If you want to word it scientifically, so to speak, you know.
And madest the deaf to tremble, and troublest the men of that age. Verse 19. And thy glory went through the 4 gates of fire, and of earthquake, and of wind, and of cold.
So it said the glory went through 4 different gates. You know, when you go into that, that's just going into how literally the atmosphere was altered. It changed. You know, it mentions those 4 gates, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you read that again?
Continuing on, let's read 2nd Ezra 3 and 19 from the top. And thy glory went through 4 gates of fire, and of earthquake, and of wind, and of cold.
So it got cold too in the midst of the fire coming down. You know, because the scriptures talks about a tempest. When you go into tempest and go into that, it go hailstones, like we read about earlier. Like, yo, it's gonna be a lot going on at that time.
Something
you know?
that big actually breaking into the atmosphere.
That's right.
In a sudden. Yeah, it's gonna get the temperature's gonna change. Yeah, something, you know,
Yeah.
the reality around you is gonna shift.
That's right. Like literally reality shifted when you go into this here, man. And that's why I know you wanted the 2nd Ezra 13. Now we can get that, you know, because we talked about what happened of old. We went into the precepts of how it took place. And this is a great precept going into that. And in 2nd Ezra 13, it mentions this subtly right here.
Yeah, it just,
what was being read.
It kind of zipped. But when you actually read it, when you think about why did he write it like that? Neither he lifted up hand. Because we just read all these details about how, like, yo, the gap.
That's right.
In power is so wide. And it's like it's an effortless thing.
That's right.
And when you know that, it's like, man, what am I worried about?
Straight up.
If this is on my side, why would I ever be worried about anything for real? You know, and it gives you that confidence to realize, man, I just got to do my part and I'm good.
That's right.
And the best visual they can give you that is in the movies.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Whatever movie you choose, with that type of power being on display, you know, the Lord's power is gonna be stronger.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It was like what that one scene where Magneto, where they shot their missiles, and Magneto was like,
yeah,
he just stopped. He paused. He paused reality.
Because just a flick of the wrist, like, man, go on somewhere with your bullshit. Here, take that with you.
Yeah.
It's gonna be that effortless. You know.
That's right.
And that's just with Magneto. That's just a character.
Yeah, just a low.
Yeah,
I like
not real.
the scene where, you know, even because they had all the generals and leaders in that bunker in that movie, he pulled them out of the ground and ripped the doors off.
Yep.
You know, and then turned out the camera so that the whole world seen the lowest state he was bringing them to. You know.
That's right.
So these movies do give us a little inkling of what the Lord is going to do. It doesn't fit, obviously, to the graphic that we're going to see, you know, in real time. But, you know, it does the job.
Right. Yeah. All this is.
You ain't gonna be able to talk the Lord down.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. All this is tied to, you know, they shall know that the Lord had done it in that day. You know, it ain't gonna be no guessing. Ain't gonna be no mention of the Anunnaki and the Nephilim and the fallen angels and stuff like that, bro. You know, it's gonna be a how about Shimmy Havashai. You know, and there ain't gonna be no Nibiru, all those different rumors that's out here toward the end. You know, the Mayans and this, that, and the third. No, they gonna know for a fact. You got that? Anybody got that? Yeah, that second Ezra 13.
Got from the top.
Not from the top. You know, I mean, we really know from the top. We want to go into where they really durst fright. You know, we're gonna read all the way down, even going into. You know, you got it.
Come. This is
Where
second.
he
Ezra
lifted up no hand, none of that. You know.
This is second Ezra chapter 13 and verse 9. Rather verse 8. And it reads, and after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid.
Now this is going to take place, you know, where those armies and those militaries gather together, the valley of Jehoshaphat and such. Because Babylon's going to be visited and burned with fire and such, but you're still going to have a lot of fighting on the earth. Where Apostle Ramlab talked about this. They're all going to be fighting together until they turn around and look and try to fight against the Lord. Not try to. They're going to fight against the Lord right here. It's not going to work, you know, but they're going to be moved. Their spirit's going to be moved to want to fight. Yeah. And when you go into this chapter right here, it's going into, you know, we read earlier in Habakkuk 3, you know, was not displeased against the rivers when you came with the chariots of salvation. This is going into the fathership right here. When Yahushua comes down with the angels, this is a very detailed account going into when he visits the earth in those chariots.
And this account is mentioned throughout the volume of the book. In Joel, the 3rd chapter, it's from a different perspective is mentioned.
That's right.
The Lord talks about.
That's right.
Yep. Gather all the nations.
Facts.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, man. So we read the volume of all the men of the Lord. We're seeing the same visions and writing down these things for this time, and this is what we're waiting for. This is what that transition of power is going to look like. It's not going to be something that's in secret.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, like we read it in Matthew 24 yesterday. Every eye is going to see the Lord when he comes back. It's going to be the most public thing ever that happened.
That's right.
You know? So like you said, those guys who said we're in the new covenant, and no, that transition of power is going to be, everybody's going to know.
Right. That's right. That's right.
Yep. And continuing on, it reads, and yet there's fight. 13 and verse 9. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war.
Yeah, so they came to bring violence and said when he bore witness to the violence of these people, you know, and it's so beautiful when you look at it because that kind of shows you secretly that that's Esau. You know, he's the violent man. You know, I like to think of Matthew 11 from the days of John the Baptist even until now. You know, the kingdom of heaven suffered violence and the violent take it by force. You know, you got Revelation 1 and 7 where it says he cometh with clouds and chariots, loosely paraphrasing, and cometh to those that pierced them. You know, this is all that account, that occurrence right here, taking away the violent man, the people of violence. Because there's going to be Esau's militaries that's going to be fighting each other, you know. And, of course, other heathenistic militaries too, but it's going to be a lot of Edomite militaries fighting against each other in that time too, man. You know, and then they're going to turn away and fight all against the Lord. You got it.
God, verse 10. But only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath.
There you go. He gave that command, and with that blast of fire and flaming breath, what's he about to do?
And out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. Verse 11. And they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest.
And the great tempest, man. Those laser beams, you know, those horns that we just read about earlier, you know, that horns in his hands, those rays of light, that's what he's going to come and shoot. And this is on top of reality being altered, you know. Go ahead.
Continued on, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared, so that upon a sudden of innumerable multitude, nothing was to be received.
There you go. Burnt them up. Go ahead.
There's that effortlessness. You know what I mean? And then he used the word violence again to show, like, you know, you think you the violent man. I really get to it. You know, so, man, it's so beautiful that we got this power on our side. If anybody's shaky or want to waver in faith when we're confronted with particular things, you're lacking wisdom.
That's right.
Because you don't know what's behind us. You know?
That's right. Beautiful.
God. But only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. Verse 12. Afterward saw I the same man come down from the mountain, and call unto him another peaceable multitude.
And this is what I want to talk about right here too, going into this, because in the midst of all of this, you know, what happens when the Lord brings judgment. There's a gathering that happens. You know, we're talking about the gathering in the heavens. You know, hey, as the scriptures say, now is salvation come after the accuser of our brethren is cast down. We just read about Yahweh coming back and taking out the accuser of our brethren, the militaries and such, you know, their kings and everything. And this is during that transition. Now, obviously, when the nukes come, you know, the elect going to be sent up there, you know, but this is all that gathering that's going to take place in the midst of all of this happening. Even in Revelation 15, we don't got to get it, but it talks about the elect in that ship looking through that sea of glass and looking at Babylon burned with fire, the earth being jacked up. They're going to be seeing all of this at the same time. You know, go ahead.
God, verse 13. And there came much people unto him, whereof some were glad, some were sorry, some of them were bound, and other some brought of them that were offered. Then was I sick through great fear, and I awaked and said, verse 14, Thou hast showed thy servant these wonders from the beginning, and hast counted me worthy that thou shouldest receive my prayer. Verse 15, show me now yet the interpretation of this dream. Verse 16, for as I conceived in mine understanding, woe unto all them that shall be left in those days.
There you go. And these are the days it's talking about right now. Especially when Yahweh comes, he said, woe be unto them. And he witnessed that woe, that destruction, them being burned up by those laser beams, all of that. Yo, he's saying some, we can only talk about it. We can only read about it, but we really don't know exactly what he's seen. You know?
Yeah, see. Hit him see.
Mhm.
Terrible.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right. And that came with the presence of the Lord, that terror. He witnessed the presence of the Lord in its potent glory in that vision right there. Go ahead.
God continued on, and much more woe unto them that are not left behind. Verse 17, for they that were not left were in heaviness. Verse 18, now understand I the things that are laid up in the latter days, which shall happen unto them, and to those that are left behind. Verse 19, therefore are they come into great perils and many necessities, like as these dreams declare.
Go ahead.
Verse
What verse
20,
are you on? Verse 20?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, you got it.
yet it is easier for him that is in danger to come into these things.
Matter of fact, actually, jump to verse 36.
This is 2 Ezra 13 and verse 36.
He's still giving him the interpretation of the dream. All right. And this is the latter end of it. Go ahead.
And Zion shall come and shall be showed to all men.
There you go. He said he saw the other peaceful multitude. Some were crying, some were happy and in joy. You know, that's what he's going into right there. He's witnessing Zion get delivered. Go ahead.
Being prepared and building, like as thou sawest the hill graven without hands.
Go ahead.
Verse 37. And this is my son shall rebuke the wicked inventions of those nations, which for their wicked life are fallen into the tempest. Verse 38.
There we go.
And shall lay before them their evil thoughts, and the torments wherewith they shall begin to be tormented, which are like unto a flame. And he shall destroy them without labor by the law, which is like unto fire.
Which is tied to Deuteronomy 33, what we read earlier. Yeah. You know, going into, how he came with the fiery law. All right. This is what that all tied into. The 4 gates that we read about. All this is, reason why I'm bringing this out. Because when you read about the coming of the Lord and when the law was established on Mount Sinai, like it was terrible, and we're going into the very end and it's likened just to that. It's the same qualifications. That's why Habakkuk 3 was read. When it goes into the coming of the Lord, it's likened unto what happened in Sinai and such. Isaiah the 3rd, 2nd Ezra the 13th chapter. He's likening it to that time when Mount Sinai was visited. It's only going to be more extreme. Okay? Go ahead.
Yeah, if I can add on to a point, it said that he would destroy them without labor by the law. Because these devils, they put their hand on the Bible and they pretty much swear upon it as if they would uphold it. You see, but to them not upholding what they said that they would do, the Lord going to hold them all accountable. He's going to hold these devils accountable to what
Exactly.
And what comes with that the penalty is death. You know?
That's right. Solid point.
God. 2 13 and verse 39. And whereas thou sawest that he gathered another peaceable multitude unto him.
Now, this is the point right here. Gathered another peaceable multitude unto him.
Verse 40. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, who Shalmaneser, the king of Assyria, led away captive.
Now, this is a very heavy account. And even the last time I read it, I thought about it a little harder than the previous times of reading that. But Ezra's asking that question, who are these people? Because in that time period, he's never seen them before, never seen a northern kingdom. They was already gone away and held captive, way centuries behind that. And then they sailed off to this land right here. So Ezra's looking at this large multitude like, who are these people, man? And he's going to explain to them exactly who they are. So when you go into this account, it's going into the judgment, this peaceful multitude being delivered up in both of the tribes, northern and southern kingdom being gathered together in the heavens. And what's going to happen after that? The new covenant be established. Just like back in the ancient world in the wilderness, the northern kingdom, the southern kingdom was established together. The covenant was given. The glory of the Lord was revealed. It's reminiscent to what happened in Sinai.
If I could also make a point, Yahushua said that in John the 10th chapter. He said I have a flock of another fold.
That's right. Yeah, let's bring that out. That's the spirit.
This is John chapter 10, verse 16. It says, another sheep I have which are not of this fold. It says, them also I must bring, and they shall hear my voice, and there shall be one fold and one shepherd.
Yeah, there you go. And that's talking about, obviously the Israelites of the diaspora, but how much more does that apply to those 10 tribes that we're reading about right now? Because they were way on the other side of the earth when Yahushua made mention that in John 10. Way on the other side of the earth. So this is very important, what's building up to that second covenant. We're going to pull up a few more precepts going into the feastly portion of this afterwards, because there was a feast that's required when the covenant's given. That's why I put emphasis on it when Exodus 24 was read, how they ate after that happened. So there's a feast that's required. Go ahead.
And he carried them over the waters, and so came they unto another land. Verse 41. But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt.
There you go. And that's talking about the Americas. Contrary to popular belief, it's talking about the Americas right there. All right. Which is why you actually have traces of Hebrew artifacts and Hebrew writing still on stones and such to this day. All right. 12 tribe sign is right. That man was in the spirit when he put that together. All right. Go ahead.
See, when on it reads that they might keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land. Verse 43. And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow passages of the river. Verse 44. For the Most High then showed signs for them, and held still the flood till they were passed over.
When you go into that held still the flood, like, you had different currents and such that would stop those travels and such. But the Lord allowed ease going into that way that their travel would be fluid going over here to that land. If the Lord didn't hold back those floods, it would be hard to travel through certain of those ways. Go ahead.
Verse 45. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half.
That's right. That's how long the voyage. Most of y'all all of y'all that are in here know that verse. We know that verse. We know the breakdown going into that. So the travels took a year and a half for them to travel all the way from that region of the world to this region of the world, being the Americas. The voyage was a year and a half. Go ahead.
And the same region is called Asteroth.
There you go. It's called Arsareth, which again, we believe, according to faith and prophecy, that it is the Americas. All right. Now, again, we're good on that. But we're going to touch up on just a few more precepts. But note, When the angel was speaking unto Uriel and giving him that breakdown, he gave him the vision of the destruction. He gave him the vision of the chariots coming down. He gave him a vision of the gathering. And out of that gathering, there was a multitude that he had no clue who they were. But he explained to them, look, these are the rest of the 10 tribes, you know, and what happens in the air. That marriage ceremony is going to take place. Covenant going to be established, the glory of the Lord being revealed. And again, the last time that happened to that effect was in Exodus 24. The northern kingdom and the southern kingdom was together, and the law was given. The first covenant was given, you know, so it's going to be very reminiscent to how it took place in Exodus 24. And both tribes got to be present in order for that to happen. You know, that's why I wanted to title this The Great Gathering, you know. So we can hold off on that, and let's bring out the book of Matthew, the 26th chapter, and start about verse 27. Oh, you're already there. That's the spirit. Cool, cool. Somebody can hold Jeremiah 31 or Hebrews 8, either or, it don't matter. Say the same thing.
Matthew 26 and 27. And he took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, drink ye all of it.
Now, just to establish the point, this is going into the feast of the Passover. Also, it's famous for being called the Last Supper. And this is the last meal Yahushua had with his disciples before he was taken, beaten, and died on the cross. Okay, before that notable act took place. This is the last time they came together before Yahushua was crucified. Go ahead.
Verse 28. For this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sin.
Now, a lot of people like to go to this and try to prove that we're already under the new covenant. Because when you go in the Testament, you find the word covenant when you go into that word. Oh yeah, but I've heard certain so-called Christians say it too, you know. But you have people that are out there that'll try to justify their notion of the new covenant already being here, and they'll go to this verse because they did drink the cup when he said this is the blood of the New Testament. But you find something interesting when you keep reading that stands out big time. Go ahead.
But I say unto you, I will not drink henceforth of this fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom.
Boom. And that has to happen first. So Yahushua didn't even take a drink of the wine back then. So they like to say this is when it was established. Yahushua didn't drink of that wine then. He said, I'm going to drink it with y'all when that ceremony takes place. And that ceremony is going to be in the heavens. You know, that feast. It's going to be a feast in the heavens, man. We're going to celebrate the fall of Babylon. You know, the new kingdom coming. We're going to drink with Yahushua. And we always talk about that. But that's going to be in those new bodies when we get the laws on our inward parts. You know, that's the establishment of the new covenant. Yeah, obviously, when this happened, this was a big to-do. Very big deal, obviously. You know, and this is pretty much brought in us being under grace. You know, we were under grace. Yahushua died. You know, he visited his father, you know what I'm saying, for those 3 days, resurrected. And then he got beamed up. You know, that's going to be the coming of the new covenant when we actually are like him, when we drink with him. Okay?
John, is it 1 John 3? When the Lord come back, we're gonna see him as he is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's gonna give us an inkling of what we're gonna be like. What our life is gonna be changed to. When we see the Lord return in his glory.
That's right. To drink wine with him in a new body.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. He said he's been preparing a place.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? He's been preparing a place since he was resurrected.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So I can only imagine that. Like Elder Yashua was saying, I'm just focused on the earth. But that's eventually it's going to start to venture
Absolutely.
out. All this Star Wars, Star Trek, Great Beyond, all that's for us.
Yep.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
But it starts here, you know?
That's right.
If I just may add on to the point, even Moses, like y'all was reading Exodus 24 earlier, you know, Moses sprinkled the blood on the altar, which that was a solidification of pretty much the covenant that the Lord made. But when you read down in the chapter, as you guys go into it, after that, that's when Moses walked up into the mount to enter into the cloud.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, even with Yahushua saying, like, look, I ain't gonna drink it with y'all yet. You know, when you would have individuals like men getting together for a covenant to be done, like I know Elder Ariala goes into this a lot. You know, you would have the wine, you would have the cup, and you would all put it in the air, you know, this is it. And then you would take a sip of the cup, letting you know that the agreement is established.
That's right.
Not that the agreement isn't, you know, established, but it's not going to be solidified until we're in those new bodies.
That's right.
It's just like the marriage. It's a marriage got to be consummated.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? The consummation of the marriage between the lamb and the bride You know what I'm saying? Is the changing of the bodies in the chamber.
That's right. That's right. And that's what actually we were going to end this off going into.
My bad.
No. That's the spirit. Hey, that's the spirit. Isaiah 26, but we still want that whoever got Hebrews 8 or Jeremiah 31. You know, because that's what's going to take place when we enter into those chambers. 2nd Ezra 13, we read about that, read about all the tribes, but they was on their way to the chamber. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was what Ezra saw, like being beamed up into the chariot. You know? Go ahead.
It's Jeremiah 31 and 31. Behold, the days come, said the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai, I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah.
And that hasn't happened yet. You know, go ahead. It's going to explain how it hasn't happened yet.
Verse 32, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt.
And we read about that in Exodus 24, how that happened. Okay, go ahead.
Which my covenant they break, although I was an husband unto them, said the Lord Yahweh Shai.
Mm-hmm.
But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel. After those days, said the Lord, I will put my law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts. It will be their power, and they shall be my people.
There you go. And that's when it's going to be solidified right there. All right, we don't got the laws in our inward parts yet. Go ahead.
Verse 34, and they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother.
There we go. We were under the new covenant. This lesson wouldn't even be coming out. You wouldn't be on YouTube and getting them alerts constantly of them YouTube videos and brothers teaching. You know, Jake wouldn't be cursed out about doing video, you know what I'm saying, if we was under the new covenant. Right. You know what I'm saying? There wouldn't be no Israelites on the highways and the byways teaching if we were under the new covenant. You know, so right now we're segueing into it, but it's not going to be all the way consummated until we're brought up in that chamber. You know?
Our faith will be finished.
That's right. That's right.
The evidence of things not seen will be apparent.
That's right. It'll be revealed. Beautiful. That's right. Go ahead.
Verse 34 again, they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, know the Lord. For they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them.
There you go. So we're going to be programmed to know the Lord. All right. We receive it. It's going to take a new body for that to happen. Apostle Paul talks about it in 1 Corinthians chapter 15. Bodies terrestrial and bodies celestial. You know, so when we're with our Lord, as pertaining to 1 John 3, as the Elder Yadazak said, we're going to be in new bodies. We're going to be like him. We're going to be drinking with him. All right. And that's going to be the establishing of the second covenant. You know, that's when it's going to be fully confirmed. You know, and I wanted to go into that with all the theatrics that's tied to that. You know, which is why I wanted to use Exodus 24 and 2nd Ezra 3 and, you know, Deuteronomy 33, just on going into the theatrics that was tied to the covenant being established. You know, so, you know, I thought it was pretty cool reading 2nd Ezra 13 and reading about those tribes and Ezra asking the question saying, who are these? That gathering that took place last time that happened in that way was when the first covenant was given. You know, so I wanted to just harp on that. And hopefully this was edifying. If anybody got any precepts, any closing points, we can end it off on that. Cool. All right. Hey, the phone chimed. You know, so we'll end it off on there. We'll give all praise, honor, and glory to
Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash.
Also, double honors to our apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Peace, blessing, and many salutations unto you elect across the four winds of this earth, fulfilling your lots in all truth and all sincerity. Shalom.
Shalom.